This video is for the entrepreneurial mom that questions it all. She's drowning in deadlines and duties and diapers and her dreams. She's juggling building the business and raising her kids and the never-ending to-do list. And somewhere in between there, she questions, can I really do both? Or am I just failing at everything? I need you to know, first and foremost, that I get it. I'm a mom of 2 young boys. I have a third one on the way, and I'm growing my multi-million-dollar business. And, I have felt all of those things. I felt the spiral, I've hit the wall, and I've questioned everything. And through the journey, I have really been able to develop a few mindsets that have helped me bring myself back to life. These are perspective shifts that help me kind of regenerate my energy and kind of refocus and kind of get that conviction back on fire for why I do what I do. This is a video I wish I had 10 years ago. This isn't a strategy video. This isn't a you got this girl video. This is a real conversation about what it takes to really keep that spark alive when you feel like you're deep in the trenches, because I believe you can do both. You can live out your dreams and grow your business while also raising amazing children, and at the end of the day, stay you throughout the process. So let's get started. So when I first became an entrepreneur, I could not get enough of personal developments, books, podcasts, YouTube videos. I still am like that today. But I remember one of my first people that I found and that I loved to listen to was Ed Milet. And he said one tiny sentence in a podcast episode that I never forgot. He said, the most insidious form of child neglect is a parent that doesn't go after their dreams. Now, I wasn't a parent at that time, but I did have a dream in my heart, and I knew I wanted to become a parent, and I was already kind of nervous about the idea of juggling it all. And so I just wrote that down. I wrote that down and I thought about it a lot. And now that I'm about 8 years into entrepreneurship, I think I have an idea of what he means, and I want to show you my perspective of that quote. So when you kind of get this calling on your life, and what that really looks like is kind of like a desire in your heart. I know for me, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just knew that there was something on my heart, that there was like an assignment that God had put in my life to really accomplish for, his kingdom. And I, kind of what I like to call is like walk towards the music, which is like when you kind of sense an opportunity, you start to kind of walk towards that opportunity. And you are one version of yourself right here. Now, as you are kind of walking towards opportunities and learning new things and starting your entrepreneurial journey, you go through a journey. You go on this path. And on this path is a lot of resistance. It's really challenging and it can be really painful at times. What it feels like to me sometimes is swimming upstream. It's like this current is pulling you back and there's everything in you. It's like once you kind of start to get in the water, it's like, oh my gosh, it feels like everything is like making me like try to get back to who I used to be. And this journey is full of challenges, it's full of failures, it's full of upsets. It's really a lot of action, right? But this journey that you go on, at the end of it, what even is the end? I say at the end, but at some point you really become someone completely different on the other side of that journey. And it's because of the challenges you went through. I think about salmon and how it's like one of the healthiest fish that you can eat. Why is that? It's because they swim upstream. And when they swim upstream, they get stronger. They have much more protein and those omega-3 fatty acids because of swimming upstream. And I think a lot of moms, potentially, they have this dream in their heart and they question if they should go on the journey because they're thinking, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to neglect my kids. And I'm the same way. Like, my kids are my number one priority. But let me ask you this. What version of you do your kids need? What I believe Ed is saying is if you stay right here, that is a version of neglecting your kids. because they are not having and experiencing the parent that you could become on the other side of your entrepreneurship journey. And so when I personally am in the trenches and I'm in the thick of it and I feel like everything is pulling me back to get back to like my old version of myself, I think about that quote and I think, okay, who is the parent that my kid needs? Is it this one or is it this one? And so whatever challenge that I'm in, I think about how it is like making me the stronger protein, the stronger salmon version of myself, so that, maybe one day if my kids were to go through whatever I'm going through right now, I'll have the wisdom and the experience to be able to speak to it. Another really cool kind of perspective shift that I've been able to have along my journey so far. I think I used to believe that if I were to pursue my entrepreneurial journey, I would forego opportunities to like have experiences with my kids. I have no idea where that belief came from, but I think it was deep-seated in there. But what I found is that the entrepreneurship journey is actually the way to create experiences with your kids. I keep seeing clips on TikTok of Blue Ivy, who is Beyonce's daughter, dancing side by side with Beyonce on Beyonce's world tour. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if Beyonce didn't pursue her dreams, she could never create that environment where Blue Ivy could become like the best performer in the best arena with the best resources. I'll open up the comments on TikTok and people are like hyping up Blue Ivy, but my thought is like, oh my gosh, the perspective of Beyonce, like this is the fruit of her labor that she could have never anticipated, that her daughter would spend this much, I call it shoulder to shoulder time with Beyonce as she is transferring her knowledge and her wisdom and her experience so that Blue Ivy can be who she wants to be and like really reach her full potential. This past year, I joined quite a few masterminds and I went to a lot of events, and I'm in rooms with people who are making a lot of money and they are like just incredible, wise people. And what I found is that a lot of them were bringing their kids with them to these masterminds. They were like middle school or high school. Some of them would actually raise their hand and contribute within the mastermind. And it was just the coolest thing to see how, it was normal for these kids to sit in a room where people were talking about making 10, 50, $100 million, where they were hearing strategy and they were really experiencing people's kind of essence. Tony Robbins says, if you want to have the results of someone's life, you need to model their beliefs, their mental syntax, which is the order in which they are thinking, and lastly, their like physiology, how they carry themselves. And that is caught, it's not taught. And so bringing your kids into that world where they can experience that physiology of really successful people, it's once in a lifetime. And I think a lot of parents, not always, of course, it's a very generalized statement, but I think some parents think, oh, I need to sacrifice all of my dreams and my desires so that I can just delve into my kids' world. But what if there was a way that you could create a life so incredible that you can bring your kids into your world? The third and final perspective I want to share with you is, I really like to remind myself that I am their mom for their whole life, not just when they're little. You hear a lot of stuff and a lot of sayings like, you only have 18 summers and they're gone when they're 18, or, the years are short, but the days are slow. And, it can make you feel like almost have this like scarcity, panicked feeling of, oh my gosh, this time is so precious, this time is so important. And it is 100%. But don't forget, you're their mom for their whole life, not just when they're little. And when they're little, like I have a 2 and 4-year-old right now, they need me for everything, for the kisses, for the boo-boos, for the Band-Aids, for the sandwiches. And eventually they aren't going to need me for those things. They'll need me for different things. So I like to think about, okay, this journey is helping me become somebody in which they are going to need more as they get older rather than less. How could that be? How could I be somebody where they call me when they're 30, 40, 50 years old for advice or wisdom? I like to think about Brooke Castillo. She is a huge role model of mine. She's the founder of the Life Coach School, and she is like a world-renowned life coach. And right now she is currently traveling with her adult son as he is pursuing becoming a professional golfer. So she's traveling with him and she's coaching him on this journey. And I'm just like, wow, like he, needs her more now at this stage more than before. And I just love the idea of thinking about, now, obviously, I don't know what my future holds. I don't know what their future holds. I can't guarantee that anything cool like that would happen to me. But what I can do is focus on who I'm becoming so that I can be like that person if and when, an opportunity like that comes about. This is also why I really encourage women in entrepreneurship to not just thinking about serving people, but really thinking about making money and having a profitable business. Like, let me think about this. Who do you call when you need advice? Do you call the poorest person that you know, or do you call the richest person that you know? You call the wealthy person, because that wealth is receipts of your journey. And so as you are building your business and making money, like, you want to have the receipts so that as your children get older, they can see and say, oh, wow, look, I can call my mom because she does know what she is talking about. And here's the coolest thing. They are going to go through some really hard stuff, and you are going to be able to say, I get it. I have been there. I've been there. I know what it feels like to be rejected. I know what it feels like to fall flat on my face. I know what it feels like to fail again and again. I know what it feels like to be told no. I know what it feels like to try something and it totally crashes and burns. I know what it feels like to lose a really important team member. I know what it feels like to take a risk and to hire someone that you've never done before, or take a risk on a job, or like, I literally know. Like, they want to call somebody who has been there, done that, and you get to be that person, and it is so incredibly exciting. The last thing I want to say here is, for the moms who are really struggling with time, right? They're like, okay, I want to make the most out of my time. I don't want to, be in my rocking chair when I'm 80 years old and say, oh, it was worth it. Like, I want to experience the fruits of my labor right now. The best advice that I have for you, truly, you probably know what I'm about to say, is learn how to sell. Because sales is like the only job in which you get paid based on the results you create, not the time you put in. I have made $1.2 million in a single hour. I've spoken on stage for 90 minutes and sold, $450,000 and picked up my kids on the way home. When you learn how to sell, you like compress time, and you don't have to spend all day every day at your desk, and you don't have to put in 12, 15 hours. You do have to get good at selling so that your communication can do the work. But once you know how to sell, your time starts to compress and you start to experience the fruits of your labor fast. And if you feel like you don't know how to do that quite yet, or you really want to learn, or you want to get to that point where you can make fast money, I cannot encourage you enough to learn the skill of selling. You can be the best expert in the world, but if you can't communicate what you do, no one will want to work with you. And the problem with most experts is, while they are very good at what they do, they are very bad at communicating at what they do. And if you are ready to up those skills, click below. I have lots of resources. I have trainings and books and freebies that can really help you master the skill of selling. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, comment below and let me know your biggest takeaway, and I'll see you in the next one.